Rumor has it Montreal and Mike Matheson would like to come to an agreement on an extension. What does that look like? And where will they find the space for him on the blue line?
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day and for subscribing wherever you get your podcast. Doing that supports us here on the show and ensures you don't miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Ian Boisvert, also known as that Maybe It's Ian, and I joined as I always am by Laura Saba, also known as the Active Stick. And Laura, the hat is going to make a return here. I'm going to put the hat on now. We're getting the hat on. It's Rumour Roundup. It's been too long. I actually had to find it in my closet. That can't happen. We need the hat. How are you doing? We just enjoyed a day after the Canadiens won their home opener. How are you feeling about this team? You still buzzing after Tuesday night?
The vibes in this city are great. They really are. They truly are. The Montreal Canadiens are giving us so much. And on socials, I love all you guys communicating with us, talking about how much you enjoyed that game, talking about how fun it is to cheer for this team now. The Montreal Canadiens are giving us a lot to be happy about. And you know what? I'm so excited for this ride.
Yeah, it really, there's a lot of national media, international in a sense, buzz around the fact that the Canadiens are just getting started with what they're doing.
Yeah.
And, it's always... Fans always feel that way when they're coming into the exit of a rebuild, but there's some legitimate traction in this sport that seems to, be aligned with the idea that Montreal is going to do this thing, that they're going to stick the landing on this rebuild. And it's just super exciting watching it, still knowing they're the youngest team in the National Hockey League. It's sort of it's a win-win scenario. If they play great, awesome. That's what you should be doing based on this. If they don't, you guys are the youngest team in the league. You're all babies. It doesn't matter.
Look how mature they've looked through the first 4 games, right?
Yeah.
The games weren't always going their way, or the play wasn't always that great, but the way they were able to recover, or the way that they were able not to lose their heads or give up, right? That was the biggest difference in the game against Seattle. Seattle's really tough to play against, but they did not give up. The maturity level that they already have as the youngest team in the league, where a lot of these guys haven't even entered their prime yet, if they keep going on this front, I have never had this much faith in the Montreal Canadiens since I've become a fan.
Yeah. No, do you remember last year, one of the stats I was tracking for the longest time at the beginning of the season? It was
it was
when they trailed in a game.
Yeah.
But giveaways was one of them. And I haven't tracked that this year, but I would imagine they're doing better. But the other was when they trailed in a game they did not win. It took them a month to have a comeback win. They did that in game 2 this year. They gave up the first goal to Detroit and came back and won that game convincingly. That wouldn't have happened a year ago. They would have gotten scored on that power play in the first, got up. We're done for the day. That's it.
They would have folded.
Right. There, you can see the maturity already kind of unfolding. Look, we're getting so excited about this team. We've already kind of abandoned the plan that I put out there. That's okay. Look, I got the hat on for a reason. Rumour Roundup's back. Mike Matheson is apparently he wants an extension. Montreal wants to extend him. Let's figure out what that looks like in our first segment. Second segment, the hat will stay on. It's a bit of a Rumour Roundup. Talking about second line centers. There's some buzz out there that the Canadiens are still looking. I want to look at 2 teams in particular to see if Montreal can grab something from those rosters. And finally, as you're listening to this, Montreal is ready to take on the Nashville Predators in home game number 2 on the week. We'll give you the lowdown on that game, set you up for what should be another fun game at the Bell Center for the Canadiens. All right, let's start with Rumour Roundup. Pierre LeBrun said regarding Mike Matheson, that's going to be a big priority now for Montreal management. They want to extend him. They are interested in having that conversation. He does not want to sign a short-term deal. This is fascinating to me because if I'm the Montreal Canadiens, I'm looking at our situation on defense and wondering, is there even a spot? Is there a place for him to play in Mike Matheson? And it seems like the Canadiens think they have a place for him. No, this conversation doesn't happen.
It's playing alongside who right now is their de facto number one defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, did Marty kind of hamstring them on that? Be like, we're gonna play him with our number one defenseman, so you better keep this guy.
It's working out. The only thing I would do with Montreal is maybe like wait 10 games before you make a decision, right?
Yeah. Remember when that season Plekanec started on fire and Mark
Yeah.
Bergevin was like, here's a bunch of money. And he's like, peace, I'm never scoring another goal. I don't think Matheson's going to do that, but it is kind of funny to think about. A very Mike Matheson thing to do, come to think of it.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the big things with Mike Matheson is that he wants to stay, right? Like the long-term deal he's looking for, it's stability for himself and his family. So that might mean that the Canadiens will be able to pay him a little bit less. Like I do think that he would be willing to do that. I think the sticking point, though, is the Montreal Canadiens think in their future, like there's going to be a point where they're going to have to phase Mike Matheson out. So they might be a bit more reluctant to sign him to such a long-term deal unless he comes in really cheap. Because the thing with Mike Matheson is that for 2 years plus, we relied on him to do so much on this team. And
Yes.
he did it. He didn't always do it well, but he did it. And so for me, like he has become such a staple of this team, and they're gonna need like old guys. Mike Matheson's not old now; he's one of the oldest people on the team, but they're gonna need some old guys, right? He can be one of their old guys.
Yeah, I also think a lot of Mike Matheson's game is his skating. It's not necessarily the speed so much as it's the fluidity of it, the smoothness of it. They're saying there's some players that they skate over on the ice, some skate over it. Like Matheson skates over it. I wonder how well that ages. The speed will go. That typically happens as you age, but like I don't think that the agility and the just general smoothness to his skating is going anywhere, and that's a key asset for him.
Yeah,
I do wonder though what this means for two players in particular. Jayden Struble, who is still on the outside looking in, waiting for his opportunity to make the lineup. If they commit to a guy like Mike Matheson semi-long term, what does that mean for his chances at playing in the National Hockey League? Does he request a trade because he's like, look, there's no way I can get in? And a guy like Adam Engstrom, who we all see as the de facto Mike Matheson replacement as soon as next year. Like where do you think this conversation about extending Mike Matheson, where do you think it puts the conversations with those other two players? Like, are they in jeopardy of their role in Montreal?
I don't necessarily think that's the case for Adam Engstrom, but I do think that is the case for Jayden Struble, because Adam Engstrom's game is so dynamic that sooner or later you have to have that conversation. How do we bring him in here, right? For now, I don't think that, I don't think that the timeline is accelerated or decelerated by Mike Matheson's presence. I think it's just the fact that Jayden Struble needs to play.
Yeah, and I don't know how he does that right now. I mean, Arber Xhekaj struggled in the game against Seattle on Tuesday. I think if you were going to sit somebody to get Struble in, Xhekaj's the easy selection there. But that's for like a game or two. Like we're not talking about him taking Xhekaj's spot. So it's a numbers game, right? And the other place where this is a numbers game is the contract itself. Pierre Lebrun said that Matheson doesn't want to sign short term, which I would say is like a year, 2 years. He probably wants something in the neighborhood of 3, 4, 5. 5 would be a lot. Right now, Mike Matheson is making, I have to confirm this,
it's 5 something, isn't it?
4.875 per season. Modified no trade clause, although I don't think that's in jeopardy of being asked to be waived. Where are you, if you're the Montreal Canadiens going to Mike Matheson with a proposal for a contract, where do you start years? Where do you start dollar amount?
You're looking at this guy and you're saying, listen, man, you're 31 years old. We don't need 38-year-olds on this team when it's contending, right? So you try to talk him into a 4-year deal at the very, at max. Mm-hmm. And your number begins with a 3, because the Canadiens can afford it. They can even afford it with a 4 too. It's just that at the end of the day, they're going to have to talk about other deals that they need to make to bring in somebody who's going to help this team. And I know they have plenty of cap space, and they will have plenty of cap space, but I don't think it's going to be fair to pay Mike Matheson too much when you're asking everyone else to be team friendly.
Yeah, it's true. And next year, when that contract would kick in, $4 million would put him as the fourth highest paid defenseman on the team, which kind of
Mhm.
tracks. It tracks with what we would expect him to be at that point. Um, I'm going 3 years, and I would give him, I'd, I'd say 4.25. I think
Yeah.
that's, you know, if you're part of this team, you have to buy into the idea of taking less so that we can continue to build this team. But you also have to, if you're Mike Matheson, this is one of his last chances to cash in. Like, he needs to look out for himself. That's kind of why I struggle seeing a match here.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see it get done. We love the guy. We love the Mike meter. We're big Mike Matheson supporters on the show for that reason. All right. You want to do some yeehaws and then head into our next segment? Realism. How realistic
Real-
is this trade rumor?
It's 5. It's a
Yeah,
5.
it's a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Entertainment. Where is it on the mic meter? Is it magic or tragic? I know we're mixing bits here, but we
We
have
are
to.
missing bits, but like it's not so tragic that he wants to be here, but like the entertainment factor of this is like almost nothing. It's a 1 for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, Mike Matheson, the player, is far more exciting than Mike Matheson, the contract negotiation. So I completely agree with you. I'm glad that you took that angle, because I was like, how am I going to try to make this a 15 out of 5? And I just can't, because it's not realistic. All right, we will leave that there. I will remove the hat for now. When we come back, we'll put the hat back on, and we'll talk about some second line center options, given another insider had some thoughts on Montreal's work in that department. And we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What do I love using on FanDuel? I love the anytime touchdown bets for NFL games. Thursday Night Football is tonight. I will be playing along, putting some props down, building a parlay out of anytime touchdowns. It's also fun on Sundays to put a couple down on the afternoon games. It makes it more fun to follow those games. It makes it more fun to follow my fantasy team if I've kind of doubled down on guys that I love. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right. The hat's going back on, Laura. I did that to appease our corporate overlords, who may or may not like the hat. I don't know what their statement is on bits like that, but I always like to err on the side of caution, I think. You never
Yes.
know when this will show up in one of our meetings with our boss. Chris Johnston, also talking about the Canadiens, says the most pressing need certainly is for another centerman. Montreal's been on that file for a while now. It was a market they were exploring over the summer. I do think at some point you'll see them make that kind of move. He says that on Insider Trading for TSN. Can we get this out of the way? No duh. Right? Like, they're not breaking any new ground.
Nobody's
And that's not
surprised by this.
no, and that's not to take a shot at Chris Johnston or reports that say this. It means that conversation is still happening. I just think it's not a shock to anybody. I mean, we have a bit called 2C or not 2C that we've had for an entire summer now.
Ever.
And now it is also dawning on me that we combined the Rumour Roundup and the Magic Mike bit, and now 2C or not 2C and the Rumour Roundup bit. So this is a bit crossover episode that I wasn't particularly prepared for when we got started. Where are you at now after watching the Canadiens start the season? Is there need for a second line center as dire as maybe we once thought it was?
I think right now it's fine, but I feel like they're masking the issue very well. I just think that we talked about this before in the preseason, like, if they're putting Kirby Doc in that spot, which right now it looks like they're still kind of experimenting, trying to figure out where things go. You have to give him some time to kind of prove that he can do it. And the fact that they're still looking is a positive. It means that they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. Doesn't mean that, 20 games from now, they think, okay, we're going to stop looking. It just
Right.
means that they're keeping their options open, which is going to give them flexibility. And at the end of the day, like, they keep talking about bringing in some big pieces to help them take another step forward. Why not, a second line center, take some of the pressure off of the other guys? So for me, I think it's I think it makes sense. I think they should still continue to keep their, their phone lines open or whatever it is that Kent Hughes does.
The group chat.
And just, yes, the group chat. Keep spamming the group chat. Anyone got a 2C
Yeah.
available? Anyone got a
Center,
2C
please,
available?
please, center. Answer me. Respond. Center, please.
Please respond. Please answer.
I see you read this. Please respond.
I see the bubbles. I see the bubbles.
He would totally be that kind of guy in a group chat. I love Kent Hughes, but that's for sure who he is, at least at his job.
Yeah. So I think, he's not going to rest until he has a complete team in the way that in the vision that he has. So again, I don't think this means anything yet. I think it just means that they are not fully done. And we all knew they weren't fully done, right? Like, we know this team is on the rise. We know it's exciting. We know they're doing a lot of stuff, but we also know that it's incomplete.
Yep. Yeah. And there are not a lot of holes on this roster. There's some lower in the lineup, some role players that you would like to have. That some of the players now are doing an admirable job filling those spots. I give a lot of credit to what Alex Newhook and Kapanen have done this season so far. Let's see if they can maintain it. But yeah, it's not a secret that the Canadiens would like to upgrade there. Now, I tease that there are two teams I want to look at. And the reason I picked these two teams is because they are the only winless teams remaining in the National Hockey League as of the time of this recording. Actually, there's three of them. But the two I want to focus on are ones that maybe shouldn't have expected to be in this situation. One of them is the Buffalo Sabres, who are currently playing against the Ottawa Senators. I just saw them score maybe the dumbest goal of the season. Go look up Buffalo's first goal from their game against Ottawa on Wednesday night. Incredibly stupid. Look, we've joked about it in our group chat to let people into that conversation. The idea of Tage Thompson finally wanting out and Montreal being all over that. We know Ottawa doesn't mind trading big players in the division. We just saw them trade Dylan Cousins to Ottawa. That's a pipe dream, but would you be comfortable with the price that it would cost to get a guy like Tage Thompson? It would be a lot.
It would be a lot. And my question sometimes is, do the Canadiens have anything that they can part with? Like, who in this pipeline do you want to part with?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to think you make a deal for Tage Thompson without losing a Michael Hage.
Yeah.
Without losing an Adam Engstrom.
Mm-hmm.
Without losing XYZ. Like, it's tough to imagine that kind of trade. However, like, the Canadiens have been preparing us for this moment, right? They've told us they are willing to overpay for the right piece. Tage Thompson would be the right piece.
Right piece.
Like, if you're hoarding stuff, this is why you're hoarding stuff.
Yeah.
And again, like, I think it's important that they set that expectation with us and that we all continue to set it with one another, that if that happens, if a player like that becomes available, we're sending a lot of stuff out the window for it, and it would be the right move considering, obviously player dependent, but Tage Thompson, he's that guy.
Yeah, I agree.
The other team I wanted to talk about was the New York Islanders, who are still winless. They are 0-3 to start the year, getting outscored by nearly a 2-1 margin. And Montreal has a history dealing with Matthew Darche already. Obviously, the big Noah Dobson deal that I think both teams feel like they did pretty well in. The Islanders get 2 first-round picks that at the draft, we thought they did very well with both of those. And they get Emil Heineman, who Montreal fans were really upset to see go, despite, what his role was in Montreal. The obvious center to key in on here is Bo Horvat, who is sort of like Nick Suzuki too. Like that, it just seems like that is if Montreal had their pick and it's not Sidney Crosby, I think it's Bo Horvat. I think Bo Horvat's a guy that they would like to have come into Montreal. He comes in at a little bit of a better price though for the Canadiens, right? Like, he doesn't cost as much as, say, Tage Thompson would.
Yeah, but Tage Thompson comes with more longevity, right?
It's true. Yeah, and a higher ceiling, right? Like, you're talking about a guy who can be a point per game player. Not to say that Bo Horvat can't be that, but it's not why you're getting him. You're getting a more all-around player in Bo Horvat.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think, like, at the end of the day, like, you never know. There might be something that comes up on the market that you weren't expecting with a team that, like, craters their season early on or something like that. So I think they're doing the right thing by keeping their options open. I think they're doing the right thing by inquiring. and not putting their eggs in one basket. But I don't think that like this is a one and done situation where like we know everything, we know everything's going to work out a certain way. I think things could surprise us.
Yeah, and look, there are other teams, like you said. I think a lot of teams are going to get to the point where they go, "We're not very good. I would rather fire assets out to get picks and potentially be able to draft Gavin McKenna."
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on what who those teams are. I'm still looking at Calgary. 4 games in, they have 1 win. That's Nazem Kadri territory. That's the
Yes.
kind that we've talked about him on the show as a potential, midterm option as a second line center for the Canadiens. I think that's still a slam dunk to happen if he were to become available. I think the Canadiens would be interested. So again, we're going to be in a part now where we're watching between like now and maybe the new year, which teams fall apart and decide it's better to just get rid of some stuff to start to rebuild. I think
Yeah.
Calgary's right there in that conversation.
Absolutely.
All right, let's leave that there. I'm going to remove the hat for the final time. Hopefully we see it again soon and for good reasons. But for now, we turn our attention to Thursday night at the Bell Center, where the Canadiens will be welcoming the Nashville Predators for their annual visit. We'll give you the lowdown on that game and what to expect on Locked On Canadiens. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Look, we are big fans of Game Time on this show. I can honestly say that as I am speaking to you now, I used Game Time today to buy tickets to an upcoming Montreal game at the Bell Center. It was easy. I got to see the view from the seat. I got to see what the price was all in. I didn't have to, do some math in my head to calculate what the fees were. And I was really happy that they sorted all of my options by what they felt was the best option for me. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right, we're back. Let's get into a little game preview. The Nashville Predators are in town on Thursday. It's a very West-heavy schedule to start the season for the Canadiens. They will be out West again in a week's time and playing Seattle. Their season with the Kraken will be done in like a week and a half. Which is kind of just silly. I don't understand the NHL schedule at all, but it is what it is. Nashville.
I think it's special this time around because of the Olympics. They've had to do a lot of like cramming things in. I'm just not excited to be staying up so late in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, thankfully, I mean, looking at the schedule, and I only remember a few of them. They're like 8:30 and 9:00 starts. They're not midnight, 1:30 a.m. finishes for us, which is just. I know the West Coasters are like, whatever. It stinks. It stinks a lot. Sorry, you guys live in a better time zone.
Yes.
The Nashville Predators coming to town to take on the Canadiens. Last season, Montreal won both games. They shut out Nashville in their first game. Not a busy night for Sam Montembeault, but got the shutout nonetheless. And then Jakub Dobeš had a very busy night in their second go-around, made 36 saves on 37 shots for the victory in that one. Nashville's a weird team. They were supposed to be really good last year, and they just factually weren't. They couldn't score.
They made so many changes in the offseason, and none of them panned out.
Yeah, it's sort of, to put what Nashville did last season in the terms of like recent history for the Montreal Canadiens, it was like the year where they brought in, Camilleri and Gianta and Gomez and Gill, and like they just changed so much. And it's just tough a lot of times for those teams to gel quickly. They struggle to sort of get off the mat. That was the case for that team, that 2010 team. They snuck into the playoffs because they weren't great all year.
No.
Nashville comes into that game, into the game on Thursday, 2-1-1, 5 points in their first 4 games. They just lost in Toronto 7-4. That was a duel of the backup goalies, including one Caden Primo for Toronto, who gave up 4. But Justus Annunen was in for Nashville, which means we're getting
UC
I almost said
Saros.
Pekka Rinne. I almost said Pekka Rinne, and that's not true. I'm dating myself here. Yes, UC Saros. What are you looking for in that game on Thursday with Nashville?
Don't lose it.
Wow. I think we
no.
can wrap the episode. I think we're good.
No, I'm going to be really honest. I want to see a little bit more aggression on like defensively. I thought like I want to see that team that I saw in Toronto. That's the one I want back, right? Like they were very aggressive on the forecheck. They were very aggressive on the defense. We talked yesterday in our episode about the penalty kill, right? You don't want to be taking penalties against a team like that. You don't want it to be taking penalties in general. But you know, I don't want this to be like a penalty parade. I want them to really. What I want to see is I haven't seen this. Since Toronto is also just controlling the game the whole way through, right? I want to see play like that. If you are capable of doing that against a much better team than the last couple of teams we've seen, I want to see that energy back. They did that on the road too. Like now they have the favorable change. So I really just want to see like just this strong, aggressive forecheck and aggressive defense.
Yeah. I also think, you know, you bring up the favorable change at home. I also think it's interesting that like Demidov had been doing fine and then they got home and he was incredible. I think a lot of that is the Canadiens can better control that matchup and put him out there in situations that he can excel in, which is it's called sheltering. Everyone does it to young players regardless of how skilled they are. There are 2 players I'm keyed in on in this one against Nashville, and it's with the idea in mind that the Canadiens need to make life for UC Saros impossible to deal with. And it's Kirby Dach and it's Juraj Slafkovsky. They need to prove that they can play the front of the net effectively. We saw Kirby Dach do it in the last game against Seattle. He got a goal just by going to the net, creating havoc. They took away his stick and it didn't matter. He was still able to get a body part on it and put it into the net. And even if he didn't touch it, I think like the goalie couldn't see it. Decord could not see what was going on. And the reason I also tag Slafkovsky in this is he can do that. But also, I don't want to sound the alarm yet, but I have not liked Slav's start to the year.
Which is interesting because he's been more productive than he was in the last couple of years.
I believe he has 1 point. Maybe does he have 2 points? I think he has a goal and an assist. Like when the rest of that line is producing. I mean, Suzuki's got 6 points in 4 games.
He's doing all the work, though. Suzuki's doing all the work.
For sure, exactly. But you'd think, like, just by virtue of being on that line, like, a puck would have hit him and gone in, you know? And if he's going to the net, that's bound to happen. I want to see Slav like that game against Ottawa last year, where there was all that talk about him being Brady Tkachuk or whatever. I want to see that Slav again. And I'm not saying we're getting first half slapped right now. Maybe we are. It's way too early to make that determination. It's too early.
But he's playing with a lot more confidence, don't you find? He's playing a lot more creatively too.
I think so. I think he's still finding himself in situations where he maybe thought he had more time and space than he actually did. And a lot of the time, his physical gifts allow him to get out of those situations just by being bigger and stronger than the other guy. And, you know, his other physical gifts, like just his ability to make plays and passes, that allows him to get out of those situations. But I just, you know, I want to see that line has been great. And Slav's a big part of it. Don't get me wrong. I want to see a takeover game from him. Because we know he's capable of it. We've seen it. But we need to see more of it, especially now he's getting paid the big bucks. This is his big year. You know, I want to see his next progression, which is potentially a guy who can take over a game.
Right.
Which is what they drafted him to do, right? They not to be like, you know, McDavid and score 200 points in a season. But when they need a guy to step up, that's why they picked him, because they saw him play in big games in the Olympics. They saw him play meaningful hockey games. I think I would like to see more of that this season. I think Thursday's a great place to start. You know, against a team like Nashville, where maybe the emotions aren't quite there. It's not the easiest game to get up for, but if not now, when? Like we need to start to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian, is it time for our trivia?
It is. Would you like to recap us on yesterday's question?
Yes, yesterday's question was actually a listener submitted question, and it came from our prolific trivia contestant, Super Rain. And the question was, which former Habs player born in the same city as Oliver Kapanen has the most points as a Montreal Canadien? This was kind of a trick question because Oliver Kapanen, despite being Finnish, was actually born in Sweden. His dad was playing goalie for a team. And the answer to the trivia question is Mats Naslund. And we have our, like on Instagram, we got a submission, and that's from our now good friend Martin over in the UK, who submitted the correct answer. And I believe that was the only one. Please yell
Congrats.
at me if I missed you, because I feel like I saw this twice for the answer. But yes, the answer was definitely Mats Naslund.
Cool. Well, thanks for giving us the question, Super Ring. We appreciate it, and thank you for answering it as well, folks. I know Super Rain also put it in our YouTube comments, so shout out to Super Rain for that as well. Yes. All right, I have today's question. It is based on home openers. Montreal's coming off of their home opener where they scored 5 goals, and Cole Caulfield had 2 of them. The last time the Habs scored at least 5 goals in a home opener, 2 players each scored twice. Who are those players? So the last time the Canadiens had a home opener where they scored 5 goals at least, 2 players had 2 goals each. Who are those players? If you have the answer, put it in the comments down below this video, and we'll shout you out on the next episode of the show. You can also send it to us any way you know how. We are Locked On Canadiens on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. LockedOnCanadiens@gmail.com is a great place to contact us and to send us mailbag questions. We do our mailbag. We record it every Thursday, so as you are hearing this, we are recording the mailbag today. Please send in your questions. We'll get to them after the game on Nashville, so you'll have that in your feed Friday morning. We love the mailbag. We hope you guys do too. Feel free to ask us anything you'd like. We'll do our best to get to all of them. You can find the show, like I said, Locked On Canadiens, everywhere we are posting things. Thanks you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, go check out the Locked On NHL podcast. Look, the season's in full swing. You want to be hanging out with those guys. You might even see us show up from time to time, especially after games. We post some shorts in the on that show. So go check out Locked On NHL wherever you get your podcasts. You can find me at Maybe It's Ian. You can find Laura at The Active Stick. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys tomorrow.